So together today with me is Mr. Tomislav Žigo. He is the Chief Technology Officer and Vice President at Veljko. Veljko is the largest design build company in Midwest, and they are really very, very advanced in terms of digitalization. And Tomislav in second part will talk about how they implement digital technologies in their construction processes, what is their holistic approach, and so on. And I will talk about the technology, Vexel technology, and our openBIM approach, and what are the benefits, what are the challenges, what is the today's situation in construction industry, some interesting stuff like why we today do not have as much as we want construction companies, but a lot of design companies, a lot of public agencies, because some of you will hear some of the reasons what we believe are the challenge for construction companies. Beside the other functions, I'm the president of Vexel, founder, and also I am a steering committee member of buildingSMART International Construction Room. And today with us, I also would like to thank Ken. Ken is our chairman of the group, and we have some kind of tradition that on, I think, last 10 summits, he has the first presentation, I'm then usually the second one. So this is kind of tradition. Ken is coming from Kajima, largest Japanese construction company, and they are also very advanced in construction. And also would like to thank Laura, who is helping our construction room to run smoothly whenever we work together, whenever we have a meetings and operational level to help us. Also, I would like to say that within Europe, we have a FIDIC, EFCA. Maybe you have heard about FIDIC Global Association, maybe the most used type of construction contracts in the world. And I'm a vice chairman of European branch EFCA for BIM and digitalization, so BIM Digitalization Committee. And so I will try also to share our experience from consultant perspective, not just from software vendor perspective. So about Vexel, we are 17 years software development, 12 years in construction management, currently around $250 billion is the value of the project managed by Vexel, and around, let's say, slightly more than 5,000 projects. We are present in 65 countries, and we are very proud to get a lot of recognition by buildingSMART. So last time we compete, we have been the winners of Innovation Award on the competitions, and this year we are again finalists. So and we are finalists in the different categories, which shows maybe that our holistic approach is kind of interesting. So this is the statistic of our usage, current statistics. So we believe that BIM can be equally successfully used on all types of the projects. So everyone who say, for BIM is not for infrastructure or for ports or for nuclear plants, I have to say I respectfully disagree with him. And these are the numbers which shows, and it's not just our numbers, but in globally, BIM, if it's properly implemented, can be equally used on different types of the projects. In the beginning, the most of our users were large public and private investors and project management companies, because they could gain and lose the most if digitalization is properly implemented or not. But in the last couple of years, we have a significant growth of contractors, and we are proud today that among top, let's say, 20, 30 largest construction companies in the world, let's say 30-40% of them already using Vexel. So some of them on a completely strategic level, some just on in some offices and so on. This is very important. So this is what we believe holistic approach is the best. So this is from World Economic Forum. They put a lot of cool things such as drones, 3D printing, augmented reality, laser scanning, virtual reality, and so on. And they said that the thing which will have the most impact is integrated BIM. Or we can say, and I will repeat this several times here, single source of truth. So what is single source of truth? So the answer is very simple. When you change something in a design, let's say add the sprinkler, which you forgot before, in parking space, will the system have a new cash flow? Will the system have a new bill of quantities? Will the system automatically create new cost items? Will the system automatically create new tasks and said, okay, now we will need slightly more time? Will the system automatically detect that now we have clashes? And if the answer is yes, we will, we are talking about single source of truth. If situation is we have construction schedule updated 3 months ago, monthly payment certificate 2 days ago, our cash flow in Excel 6 months ago, our drawings are 8 months ago, but BIM model is relatively new 4 months ago, then we are sure that our lawyers and legal guys will get a lot of money for all disputes we have, because for them it's ideal situation in order to grasp what is true. And the thing is that if we want to manage the projects, it would be great if we can do that in proper way. So this is, let's say, this numbers from McKinsey, and I honestly believe they are very, very optimistic. So if you tell me that it will take 20% more time for project to be finished, I will usually say, I will take it immediately. 20%, I will say immediately I take it. In reality, we know a lot of projects all over the world where 20% is very, very optimistic. But they obviously did a huge research, and we are talking about 80% over budget. So today, construction industry is moving from 10 to 15% of entire global market. So if you say 80% of the budget, you cannot imagine how many trillion dollars we are talking about. And so when I founded company and started with this was there was a chart done by a research done by NIST. At the time I was living in California, it was 2002, and they put a number of $15.8 billion lost due to inefficiency. Then economists put the number of 600 billion lost in the States due to inefficiency, lack of interoperability. And then I started to think, okay, come on, people are not efficient, people are not professional, people are lazy, a lot of things. But then I started to analyze, not just me, but our colleagues as well, the complexity of construction project management. And the truth is that construction project of a decent size is by far, in terms of construction management, in terms of project management, the most complex venture we have as humans on this planet. So there are, for example, I talked with a guy who sent rover to Mars, and he was a JPL NASA director. So there are certain tasks in that process which are much more complicated, but single tasks. But when you consider number of relationships, number of stakeholders, logistics, fragmentation, then safety issues, literally you have open space on site and you need to protect people. Is it easier to work in office and to be safety manager on the site? So I have been a couple of months ago in Real Madrid Stadium Santiago Bernabeu, and they are renovating the project, and the lady who is in charge of safety needs in a 1 day from construction site to transfer this to the safe place for 100,000 people. And you watch a game against Chelsea. Could you imagine responsibility to transfer from construction site all evacuation routes in 1 day? I will never accept that job. I wanted to just talk with her and say how brave you are. And these are the regular challenges we are facing with. Estimation, by far the most complex estimation. So number of items, if you want to do a proper estimate, by far. Scheduled tasks. Proper schedule should contain 20, 50,000 tasks and even more relationships. Can we do that manually? It's very difficult. And what is the only constant thing on every construction project? Because we are building a prototype. It's easy when you're dealing with 777. It was designed for a number of years and then it was produced. Literally here, this is our prototype. And what, unfortunately, we have a lot of changes. And with a lot of changes, whenever you change something, can you cope with those changes? Not. So there are two ways how we can solve the problem. Way one, which we hope will be in the future, so full automation in applying of some intelligent ways, single source of truth concepts and so on, which are not easy in technology way, but hope it's easy for the users. And this is with the automation, we can do some stuff. The other option is, I call this indemnity insurance or insurance policy. You know, just give me your insurance, give me your insurance. Everyone is insured, but it doesn't help us to earn money. It's just how we share the risk. We will not do anything with less money. We will not reduce our risks. We will just share the risks. So if I'm the contractor and I must sign, I just have 100 or 1,000 drawings. And you know, the lawyer or the owner said, okay, 2 sentences. First, I confirm that in 2 weeks, I check all drawings. There are no any issues with drawings. And the second, I check the cost estimate that I have no objection to that. And I need to put huge insurance. What I will do, what everyone will do, add all those risks on top of their expected profit, so risk allowance, and include also all this risk indemnity expenses, because he knows that he is in a very bad position. So we know that the client always pay premium, or if he have not sophisticated contractor, he will literally lose the money. And the question is when he will left the project. And sometimes we can get the money from from their insurance, but sometimes if we are politicians, the fact that, you know, we will get money in 3 years from the court does not help us to win next election. So if the hospital is not opened as planned, you know, nobody will take care if we are right, or contractor or designer and so on. So that's why we need to be aware of that fact. So that's by far the most complex. And another interesting thing is what are barriers for using BIM? These are numbers from the UK. So the first reply, 2/3 said, I'm not using BIM because it's not client demand. So it's like I'm saying I'm not using a cell phone because it's not mandatory in Canada. And I believe it's not. Is it? But why we all, is it anyone maybe could have had cancer or something else? But am I right? Everyone here is using cell phone. Why? Because we see the benefits. I don't want to say it's ideal. Maybe the world without them was better. But we will spend now whole day discussing about this. But the truth is that we see the benefits. We are using a laptop because we see the benefits. We are using car, to be honest, believe or not, when I was traveling from Europe here, it was not said I have to use plane. I could use boat as well, maybe try to swim. Somehow I decided to use plane because it's in my interest. So the truth is, if people say it's not client demand, honestly, they do not see the benefits. And that's true. And that's the problem. And I have to be honest of us as software vendors or implementators or anyone, I don't know, maybe. But the thing is that people, we as humans are very smart. If we see the benefits, we will immediately switch. But if you tell me, okay, it's what I have to use the word now quite frequently, which I call Hollywood BIM. If you are having a Hollywood BIM and have a lot of problems on the site and have a nice video, which it's not true, you said, come on, guys. And what you will do as a contractor, you will choose, even if it's mandatory, the cheapest one. Because it's like someone tells you, okay, beside the nuclear plant you are building, you need to build a small shed as a side or small access road. And what you will do, it is not crucial for you. You will organize a tender and choose the cheapest one and try to convince the client that it's good enough. And if you start to complain, you will say, okay, BIM is still in early stage. It's still piloting, we are doing that. You will have hundreds of excuses. And the only way how you can change this is if you can see the benefits. And to be honest, I honestly believe that the only way when the market will change, when the contractors see the benefits, because beside the clients, they are the ones who can lose or gain the most. And if they do not see the benefits, I can say this, BIM implementation will not succeed. They are the key guys in the game because it's normal, it's everything about, if you have in a country successful construction companies, your market is going up. It's not, we have to be honest, it's not about consultants. We like to be consultants, but if you don't have skilled contractors, the market will suffer. The next thing is, of course, lack of in-house training and expertise. And that's completely normal for us as humans. If we do not know something, there is just 1% or 2% visionaries. The rest of us will say, I don't know that, I'm against it, or I'm reluctant. And that's completely normal. Or I'm not 100% sure. So in order to do a proper approach, you need to educate people. And I have to say that with a lot of successful clients, we started with education. So this is really very important to have a proper education, but proper education, not those hype BIM people. Because with every new technology, you have those people who just sell you something they don't know, but it's attractive and they use position at the moment to earn some money. And then help you to be convinced that BIM is not valuable. Because when you ask them difficult question, how to manage, let's say, delay analysis or how to manage the claim, they will say, no, but I will tell you how to model in one tool beams. You said, to be honest, I don't need that beam in the BIM model. I need to have a good claim. I need to have accurate monthly payment certificate. That's what I want. So we are not using BIM for the sake of BIM. We need to use BIM and the only proper way for the sake of benefits of us. Otherwise, we will not use it. And the last but not least, of course, there are a number of other reasons, but it's a cost. So just to tell you the myth, there is now a new ISO standard which says the level of information needed. Before that was LOD. Maybe some of you have heard about LOD. And maybe you have heard that LOD 400 is the best. I saw personally between 5 and 10,000 BIM models today. Never saw proper LOD 400. Maybe if it was shed. But if it's house, definitely not. So if I'm wrong, please tell me, show me the model, and I will apologize on all my conferences in the following year. just want to say that, but the reason is why we don't need LOD 400. It's not fit for purpose. Whenever someone tells me on us, okay, LOD 400 and Kobe with hundreds of properties, I said, I respect your request. You are our client. We will help you to do the project. Just can you show us where all that data is used, in which report you have that data? I said, but I have heard that it's good. My BIM consultant have just finished faculty and have learned that in ideal world, I will get that. You pay a lot for this, then never deliver this because it's impossible. They cannot cope with the changes. They deliver you the model when you already finished 50% of your works on site, and you pay them a lot, and you are convinced for the next 5 years to say, BIM, please do not mention. We tried once and it's disaster. So we should take care about what we ask, like with all other stuff. So the only reason why I want to, for example, one of the largest football stadiums in the world, they did ask for a brilliant reinforcement model. It took a lot of time to be developed. The client have not even opened it. Nobody opened that model. It was developed for 6 months. And this is where we are today. So IFC and not IFC. So I know there are a lot of things to be said against IFC, but and I have to say this is the single greatest achievement we did in the last 20 years. And hopefully we will improve this. And whenever we talk about IFC, it reminds me of what Churchill said about democracy. The worst form of government, except from all those others we tried from time to time. And the same goes with IFC. So there are, just to know that there are a lot of, so whenever you are vendor dependent, you have a shareholder in your company who has a golden vote, but have not purchased your shares, but got them for free. And he want to tell you that or not, this is the question. So do not be, if possible, dependent on any single vendor. Because unfortunately, they or we will misuse your trust. Now or a bit later. So this is very important. It's about the process. And everything I'm going to say, or we are going to say today, it's about the process. And you should ask for and set up good processes. And the tools which are available, of course, you need to ask good and smart questions. I wanted to say that in Europe, now I'm talking from consultant, our European Association, we send a lot of letters to European Commission about that. So it's really important because the industry is facing with a lot of challenges if you are too much dependent on any vendor. So it's not just about software in construction, it's about everything. You should be flexible and open and utilize all the benefits, because some people sometimes said, yeah, we are married with them, and even if they don't improve anything in the next 20 years, we cannot change because it's extremely expensive. Try not to be in that position, or try to lower your dependency on any provider. This is about buildingSMART, so what we are doing, those our rooms, and this is our construction room. So just to say that beside Ken and me, we have Konstantinos from Strabag, one of the largest contractors in Europe. We have Adolf from Ferrovial. Ferrovial is one of the largest in Spain. And we have also two other colleagues, one from Cemex and one from Stora Enso. And here are some, but this is more technology stuff, things we are working on. lot of standards or technical stuff. I don't want to take too much of your time. These are our relationships we have in a BIM model, a lot of semantics and so on. But again, standards. So if you want, I'm here and my colleagues for the next couple of days, you can ask Ken, Laura, me about this whenever you want. I don't want to go in those technical details. If you have any questions later, you can ask. But these are the schemas and everything we have developed. How in open format you can define the task, cost, values, everything. So every tool supposed to read that. So it's not Vexel format or Primavera format or Navis format or Microsoft project format. It should be an open format. And you can exchange the data. But, and this is the same goes with the cost. So again, you need to organize in a proper way the data. It's not Excel, because the idea is that whenever you click a single element, you can analyze the cost of that single element. And you can organize your cost structure according to any need. But I want to tell you where we are today. This is that still certain things in our construction, just to tell you that in our IFC, certain things are still missing in construction phase. What is missing? Good semantics for changes. So we can transfer in a proper format, open format today, construction schedule from one tool to another, but the system does not have semantics. What does it mean? If you change something in the model, a new application will not know how to change the schedule, construction schedule, or how to update the cost. And what we really hope to do in next version is also to add this semantics. I will explain to you where we are today with the authoring tools and non-BIM systems. So today we have on the left-hand side authoring tools, which are very good, can be combined and integrated in a quite fine way. I don't want to mention any tools specific, but you can find a lot of examples. Then you have a strong planning or estimation or procurement or financial accounting software or tool, and you just connect the BIM model, sometimes manually, sometimes semi-automatically, with the data which is generated not in BIM system, but outside BIM. And the problem of this is a time component. So this is in that stage, estimation is in that, progress in that, documents are maybe here, but it's not the same. And how we know it's not single source of truth? Again, if we change the model, is construction schedule going to be automatically changed in the planning software? Answer is no. Are the system going to have a new additional 200 cubic meters of walls in a certain task? The answer usually is not. So we need then manually to do all the stuff we already had to do, and then even to connect this with BIM model. So when you look at this, can you see the optimization in time? Can you see that something will be much more accurate? Are we using all this data generated in BIM? Unfortunately not, or not too much. The vision is, I have to say, it's not the single tool. Can be several tools. But to have a BIM-centric project management, where the system use all data available in BIM and try to produce as much analysis as possible. It's maybe not always 100%, but it helps a lot. And then we could have a single source of truth. We are, of course, what helps us here in this ecosystem, all standards developed, in this case, by buildingSMART, but by others as well. like BSDD, use case management, policy, IDS, OpenCD, and so on. And of course, to try to use BCF in communication as much as we can. So this is the vision. Of course, it does not mean that planning tool or estimation, maybe they can't help us, but the lot of data can or should come from also everything we already developed. And that's our holy grail. And that's the thing, if we could have not one, but several tools, or can promote those tools, that might help us in the future. Because just to give you one example, this is one football stadium for next World Cup, actually next month. And these are the numbers, 72 million property values. It's a database for one average university for a couple of years, has less data than that model. And how to develop a schedule? Start from scratch and manually create 15,000 tasks. And do a cost estimate with 10,000 tasks, again manual. And then the model is updated. And then you know what consultants say, you know, pay me gold, diamonds, whatever, I will not do anything else because, you know, I have no energy, no money, nothing. My people will, you know, left my company because they cannot and won't do again all this stuff. So we should try to do that if possible. And we as a Vexel, I have to say, we are trying to do that. So this is not only part of equation. Of course, we are focusing now on this. There are a lot of other things which can be improved, but will be good to use as much as we can for all analysis. So I will just mention some of them. And also I just want to say about FIDIC. Also, we have a lot of things in a FIDIC. What we are doing is try to implement from consultant perspective. And we are focusing on the benefits because we as a consultants, we are not interested in BIM for the sake of BIM. We are interested to have efficient technologies which will help us. And this is our team in Europe. And want to say that we as EFCA have a partnership and not partnership, but collaboration official with buildingSMART, and I believe this helps. What we as a consultant see as a nice, so this is, to be honest, these are optimistic numbers, but 13 to 21%, 10 to 17% in operation stage. This is the Boston Consulting Group. This is numbers from Britain National Strategy for Construction 2025. Now it's somehow changed to 2030, if I'm not wrong. I think it's changed. So it means that they just changed that. That means that we cannot achieve everything. But you see, if those numbers, if 10% of this is possible, will help us tremendously. I don't believe that this is realistic to so easy have that huge cost saving and so on. But another very interesting thing, what we as Vexel are trying to do is what Henry Ford did with assembly lines more than a century ago. Before Henry Ford, you sit down and negotiated with your guy who is in charge to develop a car for you. You said, I would like a wheel like that, I would like that. So you spend a lot of time negotiating with them. And again, at the end, you get a very expensive car, and warranty was 500 miles max, because that's actually first time that was built, the type of the car. So no testing, nothing. And he switched this. So what is the vision? And this is McKinsey said that if we apply assembly line principles in construction processes, we can optimize not everything, but some processes, hopefully significant part, for 5 to 10 times. The idea is, instead of moving the car on assembly line, to move your workforce just to follow a certain path and location, not to overlap And it is called location-based scheduling, and that's actually what we're doing. Can you help now?
Yes, one's coming.
Okay, so thanks. So okay, I will now try without slides to explain. Yeah. Okay, so you have yellow and green color on my slide. Just sorry. Okay, so just want to say that acceptance. It's a slide of McGraw-Hill, which says acceptance of BIM in construction industry. The highest is in design and conceptual stage. Acceptance of BIM. What is the most challenging, most error-prone, most cash-intensive phase of the project? Construction. We have, Patrick is here with us with BIM, BAM, BOOM. Maybe you have heard this. But the truth is that boom is for over 40 or 100 years for operation. And that's why the guys in operations said it's more important. Yeah, it is. But over 100 years. And in these 2 years, we have much more challenges. And BIM is least used in that stage. Because of all these reasons, which are really, because it's very difficult to implement BIM, because the construction management, again, is the most complex. Can you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Now really, I would be great if you can see the slide, because I would like, okay, the question, in Europe, in a very efficient country, they did a research and measured how much time actually the worker work something which was agreed or which is optimal. I need to be precise. So it is actually just the work, how much time I am painting. So to be fair, 100% is not achievable because I need to come to that place. 100% is not achievable because I need to prepare the paint or something else. So I need to do some preparation stuff. But can you tell me what is your best guess? How much time actually on average from 100% of his time construction work is actually really working on site? On site. 10%. Okay, you said 10. Unbelievable. I have to say, I congratulations, because usually in Europe people say 70% or 55 and so. But you mentioned two excellent numbers, so 25 and 10. The reality is 15. And this is that. And these are all, you came, there are other workers doing the same stuff. Then the wrong sequence. I put parquet and now I'm about to paint the ceiling. I need to protect parquet. I need to work 10 times slower because some guy had more parquet guys and they installed parquet in entire building. But in my contract was the deadline. It was not said you are not allowed to do that before it was painted. So that's the sequence. Can you imagine the assembly line to first install seats and then do interior painting? It's possible, but then we need to protect this. It will take 10 times more time, and we will, of course, always make some paint will stay on seats. But with assembly line, Henry Ford knew that it is possible. On 90% of locations in both high-rise buildings and infrastructure projects, location-based proper scheduling is possible. Okay, this is about, so what Vexel is trying to do is with knowledge databases, we call this configuration. Have you heard about the term configuration management? Where you set up all your templates, rules of measurements, naming conventions, protocols for communication. Whenever you start a big project, you should set up all this or have already prepared. So, and we try to allow users rules to set up all this before they start executing the process. And then with automated processes, try to produce as much information as possible. And here are some examples. What is also very important, to have always open documentation, access to your data. So that's just good, maybe good advice. Always ask, can I access to all data I produced? That's the first. If answer is not, that's not fair, simply. Because you produce the data, not the software vendor. Then sometimes even to ask, to be honest, just to tell you, it's myth that it must be stored on vendor premises. For example, from day one, we allow all slightly bigger clients to store everything on their servers or wherever they decide. Because it's now very strange, I want to tell you what we are talking about in European Union. Don't want to mention some vendors, but you know, I promise you, I am not going to misuse your data. And then I acquire machine learning company. And machine learning does not work with without data. Simply cannot work. So you have a vendor who is not construction company, who is not the client, who is just technology provider. He tells you, I'm not going to use your data, but I have machine learning company. You should charge them for that. I'm just, but really, you should ask, this is the huge value I'm giving you, or opposite, say, can you host this on my premises? And sometimes they will do that if you put a good pressure on them. Because everyone can do that. They will find a number of excuses not to do that. It's like, you know, I'm going to enter your house, but I promise I'm going to not take anything from you. Or the second, I don't need to enter your house. Just, this is an idea which can help. And there is also, you know, blockchain or so on. In the future, hopefully, every data you produce, which is very valuable, can be protected. So when you remove your key, it's useless. And nobody can use the data unless you allow them. And you can just set up a system that it's only used when you are using your data. This is a concept of blockchain. But in the future, this could be also as well. So this is very important. So just to know that this should be analyzed. So I don't want to say that all these problems can be solved, but this is just something what you should take care about or ask yourself, how you position yourself. So some compromises are, of course, very important. So this is in Vexel. I will just now talk about technology because Tomislav is also waiting, and I like to talk sometimes too much. Sorry about that. But you see, this is a difference. So that the idea, you will see some workflows, how Vexel automatically read the data and use everything available to, in an intelligent way, create automatic construction schedules, relationships, and cost estimates. The thing is, are you familiar with location-based scheduling or line of balance? So this is an example of one project. The idea is to have a streamlined chart. So this is just part of one. So you see a location and type of activity. And if you have, in this case, a line which is intersecting with another, it means that at the same time you will have two teams of people at the same location. And this is direct waste because they cannot work in parallel unless it's very specific way. The second thing is those parallel lines are very important. It's assembly line. So sometimes people ask us, okay, can I do better if I have 10 painters instead of 5? The answer is no. Why? Because they will do painting in 3 days instead of 5 days, but then they will wait for 2 days because the guys have not finished the job in the next room they have to go. So the ratio between the workers must be optimal. And you need to define what in Germany is called Takt. They call this Taktplanung, or plan cycles. When you define a cycle, it's like a cycle of assembly line. Do you remember when Charlie Chaplin, when he was working on assembly line movie? I forgot to put this here, but anyway, the thing is, it's obvious if he is working 3 times faster, the car will not be produced faster because the people next to him will have the same speed. And it's for us very obvious when we see assembly line. And we somehow believe that if someone do all tiling immediately and then we need to protect this or install receptacles much slower, that it is good for the project. No, it's bad. So this is very important. So assembly line, and what is interesting, what was first, line of balance or flow lines or critical path and Gantt charts? What do you think? I just show original. Do you recognize this building? And this is Empire State Building and line of balance. Do you know how much time we need to build this?
13 months.
Bravo. 13 months. How much time we will need today? Is any contractor here willing to sign to build? This was for 40 years the tallest building in the world, 381 meters plus 40 meters antennas. 13 months. Of course, you will say safety was the issue. Indians, you know, Navajo, I think, tribe guys are not afraid of height, but still the number of people, safety was also decent there, and everything which is on critical path was there. So, and the guys did this without laptop.
The Mohawks from the surprise.
Mohawks. Oh yeah. Okay.
They're about Kanawaki, which is right
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. But this is example from Vexel, so line of balance. You can see quite similar. As you see, the guys did this on a paper. It was in 30s. So, okay. So the idea is knowledge based. So set up all your standards. Standards are crucial. Without standards, I explained that the construction projects are extremely difficult, and without standards, we cannot do anything. So you need to develop all checklists, processes, and other stuff in order to be more successful, because you cannot handle the projects without that. And now I will show you some videos and processes and how it's done in Vexel. So one video is all this checklist. So just to have an idea how it looks like. So you just go import IFC files, and then you will see perform as much as possible all analysis. So first, the system will check if you have a certain properties. And if you don't have uniform codes, again, sorry about that. So the thing is that the system, we tried as much as possible to automatically generate and enter data. So I wanted to say first phase is you don't have a cost codes in BIM model. You can define the rules. So if it's, let's say, ceiling, I believe, if I'm right, it's C3030 by uniform. So you can just add that code if the element is ceiling, to add code automatically. So the idea is not to say manually you need to enter all codes. So you can say, okay, if it's bearing wall, it's B2010. If it's not bearing wall, it's C1010. So you can read the different properties, and we call this automated data enrichment. So what helps you is that whenever you update the model, you will immediately have to always ask yourself about the process and identify the slow things in the process. So I have to say I learned this. Maybe he's not aware of that. Well, the owner of the largest German consultant, privately owned consultant and project management company. He's a very smart old gentleman. And he always asked the questions. He taught me this. So always ask about the process, and then said carefully, once we had a meeting, he was asking the company about the process. And you know what he said? It's like I'm telling you today, I don't know any word of French language, but I'm a hardworking guy, and I promise you that tomorrow I will do a spell check. And you say, okay, check, process is defined. No, you should say, maybe you're a smart guy, maybe you're a crazy guy, but maybe you're hardworking, maybe you're professional, but you will need a year just to speak a bare French and to do a spell check without computer 10 years. And you have to be realistic. So whenever you see that in your process, if it's manual process, you should ask simple question: how much time my guys need to do that, and what happens if the model is updated or designed? And if you don't have a realistic answer, the advice is better to say, okay, we are not going to implement all this on the first project because we do not have technology or system which is achievable on that project. Laura?
Somebody's coming.
Okay, sorry about that. So how much time we have? Because Tomislav is waiting, and we started 10-15 minutes later.
Yeah. You can extend it.
Okay, but okay, sorry about it. If you want to, there is water outside.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please. Yeah.
When you earlier in the presentation, you mentioned adding some semantic between the products, subsystems to create those relationships. When something changed, the rest is evolving automatically. Yes. I come from the manufacturing world. We do prefabrication, and we do go to the level 400. It's mandatory. Otherwise, we cannot produce. And I understand your point when you're saying that the end customer might not need that level of information. But how do you create the bridge between those semantic relationship at a very detailed level that drives a fabrication shop to be brought back into your higher scheme of organization at the project management level?
First,
you work with manufacturers?
Yeah, first, thank you for saying this. You're completely right. So you as a manufacturer, it's in your interest to do LOD 400, and that's an excellent example why you should do that. But it is not because it's requirement, but because it helps you to connect your manufacturing process with, and that's excellent example. And so want to say that's how Vexel, for example, works. Vexel has a rules of measurement. So for example, whenever you add, just give you example, if I have 10 types of doors, instead of, let's say in RS means, maybe them guys from Boston, so they are very smart, but they are 60,000 or 100,000 cost items. The problem is that whenever you are about to do a cost estimate, they have different types of trees and different trees in your project or different doors. So they cannot manage this because that's never matched. And then you need to manually add those cost items which are missing. So how Vexel reacts? It connects to the proper cost classification group certain cost item, but then at the last level, read that in the system I have 15 doors, and he will literally create the 15 doors for those specific cost items, for 15 doors specific cost items, and automatically match and use the formula, which is, for example, count, or could be per square meter, or could be any other thing. So this is how Vexel use IFC data or BIM data to automatically create fit for purpose cost items for that particular project. Or if I have a wall of 20 centimeters or 25 or whatever, the system, or 8-inch, 6-inch, 4-inch here in the States, okay, in Canada you're using meters, but just want to say that the system will recognize what you have and create tailored cost items to your
Yes,
project.
but that's from the detail part upstream. What if you change something that affects the product downstream? Can you go back to the level of detail for the manufacturer in order for them to update their schedule, their costing, their planning,
Yes,
and the plant
that-
line by line, and,
Yes.
and inventory and all these things that matters for a manufacturer?
Yeah, if I now hopefully it will. So to answer your question, we have what is called scheduling logic. I don't want to say again, it's an excellent question. We are not solving all the problems, but what we have is you have what is called, now I will speed up with, let's say, some stuff here. So this is how you do a data checks, enrichments, that you teach the system. So on every project, let's say high-rise building, you start with the signage of your property. Then you build some barriers. Then you do some excavation, for example. Then you, let's say, start with foundation works. Then you do some core works and then start with all structural elements. You have also the factor of gravity, right? So you should start from below, go up usually. And a lot of, and then you have also the sequence in every room. I first do that work, then another work, then another work, and you develop a sequence of works. I'm not saying now on your side on manufacturing, I'm talking about construction site works. And this is for us assembly line. And in Vexel, you define that assembly line like a process map. You define also relationships. So when I'm pouring concrete, maybe I need to wait for 2 days after that. And the beauty is that across all projects, in all buildings, in all floors, the system will create relationship for 2 days, finish, start with plus 48 hours if we are talking about calendar hours or 2 days. And the system automatically, by knowing to which group of elements, he creates those intelligent queries. And when you update the model, so first of all, the system, unfortunately, I cannot show you now, but creates a 10,000, 20,000 relationships and tasks and have a perfect match and create the literally, and you define the cycle. Just this is another step based on your experience. So you can also do resource leveling later, but based on your experience, you can say, okay, 1 week is a good cycle for me. And you can say 3 days is a good cycle. And you can have a different cycles in different phases. So structural work, 5 days cycle, finishes 3 day cycle. And literally, the system creates all relationships, automatically calculate costs. So you have a resource, how much cubic meters on site you need every day, how much tiles you need, how much parquet you need to have. Thank you. And when the system, then you do a fine tuning. And based on those rules, whenever you update the model, okay, thank you. The thing is that, yeah, and then you can produce all this very interesting, you can go on our website and see simulations and so on. I don't know if I just click here, what is the problem? Okay, so this is, for example, one of the largest hospitals in the world. And this was done literally in less than a day. So you see all activities, what is done each day, cash flow, automatic. So,
Do you have that on your webpage, that video?
yes, you go to our YouTube channel and can see.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Or LinkedIn as well. Yeah, so just, but no Vexel Consult, Vexel Manager is our products, and you will see that videos. But anyway, this is, but I wanted to just really, I hope that, I don't know. Okay. The thing is, I just wanted to show you how you define that methodology. And the idea is that with all analytics, so resource usage, Gantt charts, or equipment usage or materials, you have everything already ready, so you can automatically analyze and optimize the process. So you can see also the other some other interesting simulations and so on. But just okay, so but want to show you in this case how this is generated. So you need to trust us. No. Lot of things I wanted to show you also CD and how it works. So how you use common data environment, how you store the document, just to give you some use cases also with automation. So so the one thing is how you enter the progress on site. So the obvious way is that you manually enter, let's say 50% of certain work since finished and so on. And you know that those numbers are not always very accurate. And again, why it's happening? Because it's very difficult to know actual amount of works. So the idea is, and also what has to be done in the next week. Usually you sit down as a foreman, say, okay, you should work there, you should do that, and so on, because that's the way how we do work. Or you hatch on the site.